McDunns were our neighbors. They had a large family also. And there was for some reason, there was some competition between the families, it seems like. There was quite a big family of them, kind of like the Blackburns, not quite as many of them probably, but I don't know how to describe them exactly, but I remember Edward McDunn one time thought he was faster than our horses, and he challenged to race one of our horses and got out in the field between the McDunn's place and the Blackburn's place. And he won for the first 50 yards, and then the horse passed him easily before the finish line. But that's just one little humorous thing that happened. But there was a lot of competition. One time at Halloween, one of our traditions at Halloween was to tip over neighbors' toilets. Outhouses was all we had at that time. And some of the older brothers, Kent, and I don't know if Lynn was involved in this, but used to stretch a rope between two horses and ride on each side of the toilet, and then the stretched rope would tip over the toilet when you'd ride past the toilet. And some of us younger ones just used to do it by hand. And they had two daughters, the McDunns did, large daughters named Martha and Teresa. And one time some of us went over to tip over their toilet. Of course, this was like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning or something, and we pushed and pushed, and the top part would go, but the bottom, it just wouldn't tip over. And we'd get on the other side and try it, and it wouldn't get over. And pretty quick, when we just about got it to go over, the door opened, and here Martha and Teresa jumped out, and they had rotten tomatoes, and I started throwing those tomatoes. And they were inside, and that's, I guess, why the toilet wouldn't tip over.
They were waiting for you.
They chased us with those rotten tomatoes. But there's some other stories that probably Lynn might want to share.
There's lots of them. Did you ever try the one that moving the toilet? Yeah, moving it back.
Yeah, that's kind of a risky thing, because then they fall in.
Yeah, that cut them. That's what some of the old ones did. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, we used to do the same. Tip them, then we've been known to drag one with the horses down the gravel road. Make a lot of noise and we shouldn't have done it.
I know, these were kind of
Wasn't very nice.
Kind of mean pranks in a way.
There's quite a lot of difference between McDunns and the Blackburns. And I think today that we thought we were a little bit better than a lot of people, and we might have been, but I don't know. They grew up to be pretty good people and honest, and whether they're Catholic or whatever they are, just they were good people.
I don't know what the competition was.
Well,
I never really felt like we thought we were any better, but just there was some conflict there. Didn't Dad and Mr. McDunn get into an argument one time?
Yeah,
about some hogs or something?
One big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roy was his name, Roy McDunn. He come over to, this one time I was out there in the corral with Dad, just close to the barn, or the milk house, and between the milk house and the barn, and he parked his old Dodge car and backed in and parked it ready to go. Because then he's come over to talk to Dad, and they was talking subject, and Dad owed him for some feed. And Dad, what for, and well, I've been feeding those hogs all winter. And Roy said, Dad, he says, Ernest, I didn't think you was that kind of a bastard. And Dad said, I'm a better bastard than you. And over the fence he went, and Roy went that way. And I was always glad, and I wasn't very old, but that I'm sure glad Dad didn't catch him, because he'd have probably hurt the guy. But he was gone, the wind was blowing, he had a long black coat on, I remember that, and he was flying in the breeze. He left his car running. He knew he was going to have a quick getaway. But he stole the pigs in the late fall and fed them all winter. And I think his Bryce come home one time and he found a hog's head down there where one of them had been butchered. And
yeah, under the ice or something.
It froze, it was in the river. Yeah. So I think after that, Dad just went up there and got his hogs and drove them home.
So there's some things like that kind of started the difficulty.
Yeah, then they used to steal our irrigation water. Roy would cut hole in our dike, I mean, our ditch.
And divert the water.
Yeah, and steal the water. Which it probably didn't hurt Dad any as far as that goes, but yeah, you had to watch him. I think he got into the gas tank one time. I had a big storage tank, and do you remember that?
Not
I
specifically.
think Dwayne is more aware of that story, but seemed like he said they caught some McDunns stealing gas one night.
I'll tell you a couple other instances that happened. One time I was sitting down on the swing there at the school that was right close to our house, just a quarter of a mile away from our house. I was waiting for my friend Roy Allen to come. We were going to go hunting or something. And the McDunns were gone, but their house was pretty close to where I was sitting, where I could easily see their house. And pretty quick, here come a car. Drove up, and it looked like one of the older boys' cars. And someone got out carrying something and walked into the house, and I didn't think anything of it. And about 5 minutes later, here he came running out of the house, jumped in the car and took off. I thought, well, that's kind of strange. Then about 10 minutes later, all of a sudden the house just went up in flames. So he'd gone in there with a gas can and set the house on fire, because the house was full of bed bugs, and we always accuse them of having bed bugs. And it was an old house, and so they set it on fire to collect the insurance.
They set their own house on fire?
And then a few years later, they built the new house, and they always parked their car right up. The new house was built in the lot between their old house and where our house was. It was kind of big, like a block lot. And they always parked their car right up next to the door. There's the tracks there where they parked every day, right up next to the door where they just get out and go in the house. One day they parked the car out in 40 or 50 feet away from the house, and that night the car burned. And they collected the insurance and bought them a new car. So those kind of things was happening. And I saw the house happen. So
Wow.
just interesting experiences. They were good people though, basically.
Yeah, we went by one time by McDunns, and Bryce or Kent did something to make the old man mad, and then we took off. I was just quite a bit young, but there's about 4 of us, I think, on horseback, and old Roy come out of there, and here we went across the bridge, and Roy's running on by his feet, trying to catch us on it. And we heard him behind us, and going across that bridge, you hear every step he made,